Professor, I have something a little different here.
What do you mean, different?
Well, it's a file, but I'm not sure how it ended up on my desk, and it doesn't seem to be from our archives.
How is that possible?
I thought you would know. You've been here for much longer than I have, and you're, well, old?
You have no idea. Here, let me see the file. Oh, this is good. And yes, this for sure did not come from our archives. Was there a name attached to this file?
Yeah, there actually was. It's on the last page along with the title.
We apologize for the delay. By Viggy Parr Hampton. I know this name.
You do?
Yes. I've seen her on social media promoting some of her work.
You have social media.
Don't act so surprised. I may be older than you, but I am still up to date with all things social and scientific.
Just thought you were some old-ass curmudgeon who hid in his lair 24/7. Sorry.
Anyways, I've actually read a book of hers and plan to read others.
What book did you read?
A Cold Night for Alligators. It was very good. It was an epidemiological story with a fun horror twist. I think you would like it. And she has others out there too that I need to get my hands on. The Rotting Room, Much Too Vulgar, and another that releases in 2026.
Nice.
Indeed. But I wonder how she was able to tap into the ether and write a case file for us to listen to. Better yet, how did it fall on your desk? Either way, I'm excited to listen in. So strap in tight. The trials are about to begin.
The grating voice booms through the speakers. I don't have a ticket. I don't even remember how I wound up here. The last thing I remember is speeding down the interstate, squeezing the bottle of vodka between my knees. Ow! There's a white, hot pinch of pain in my back. When I turn around, I see a creature with the torso of a man, the legs of a goat, and the head of Mr. Riddle?
Get moving, Lawson.
Mr. Riddle says, shoving the pitchfork deeper into my lower back. Somehow the points haven't yet pierced my skin. Mr. Riddle? I say, my voice coming out high and squeaky. I've always hated Mr. Riddle, the principal of my high school. He caught me smoking weed behind the bleachers as a sophomore, but instead of giving me a slap on the wrist or asking for a hit like some of the other teachers did, he suspended me for an entire week. My parents were irate. My sister wouldn't stop making fun of me. My friends distanced themselves from me because I was now seen as a stupid stoner. And my life generally went off the rails. Seeing Mr. Riddle here as this hybrid goat man with a surprisingly ripped set of abs confirmed a suspicion that'd been sneaking through my subconscious like a prowler. I'm in hell. I'm going! I snap, walking toward the jet bridge. A ticket appears in my hand, and when I hand it to the ticket scanner, I'm not surprised to see the wobbling jowls and offensive gray nose hairs of my odious neighbor, Mrs. Winkler. She looks like her normal self, minus a pair of twisted brown horns that poke out of her skull. When I'd gotten suspended, Mrs. Winkler had spread the news throughout the neighborhood. Carrie Turner had uninvited my mom from the bridge club. Craig Harlow had made excuses when my dad asked him to go golfing. The Spencers had canceled their barbecue with our family, and when my parents held their annual spring break lawn party, the only person that showed up was Sherman Hewitt, who everybody knew was on the sex offender registry. Tammy Larson, Mrs. Winkler says, grabbing my ticket from my hand and giving me a searing paper cut in the process. Enjoy your flight. She hands my ticket back and grins at me, exposing at least 3 rows of tiny, pointed teeth, all coated with something shiny and black. I want to throw up.
Move!
Mr. Riddle says, poking me in the back with the pitchfork again. I stumble onto the jet bridge, wiping my bleeding palm on my sweatpants. Wait, sweatpants? I look down at myself. The sweatpants have a nauseating yellow and pink polka dot pattern, and they're so baggy I have to hold them up with my non-bleeding hand as I walk. I'm also wearing a hideous orange and green striped sweatshirt. It's both too tight and too coarse. Just looking at my outfit is giving me a headache. The other passengers are dressed similarly. Loud, clashing outfits that looked incredibly uncomfortable. Nobody has any luggage, and the jet bridge is so hot I'm starting to sweat through my clothes. At least Mr. Riddle stayed behind at the gate.
I heard we're headed for the 7th circle.
Someone behind me whispers. I turned around and come face to face with David Beekman. Oh, fuck me, I say, slapping my palm into my forehead before remembering it's still bleeding from the paper cut. Blood drips into my eyes and I wipe my face with my horrible sweatshirt, which only serves to smear the red all over me and make my forehead itchy.
Tammy,
David says, nodding.
it's been a while.
Ugh. I grunt, wishing I was anywhere else. David was my least favorite coworker at the department store. I worked perfumes. He worked men's shoes. He was always asking me out, always trying to get in my pants. I always found him repulsive, creepy, and way too aggressive. When he died of an aneurysm a few years back, I heard nobody went to his funeral. Looking at him now, my opinion hasn't changed.
The 7th circle is for violent people,
He says, grinning. I'm not violent, I mumble. But what's the point of lying in hell? David smirks.
Yeah, sure.
He says.
And I definitely didn't kill my own mother with a hammer.
I recoil. I knew I was right to stay away from you. I hiss.
And look where that got you.
David says gleefully. I say nothing, and instead turn back around. The person in front of me has shoulder-length blonde hair and a boxy torso. Given what I've seen already, I really don't want her to turn around. She swivels as if hearing my thought.
If it isn't Toker Tammy,
Ainsley King says, poking me in the chest with one of her thick fingers. Seriously? I say, looking up at the off-white ceiling of the jet bridge.
still smoking the reefer?
Ainsley asks, then lets out a snorting laugh. In high school, Ainsley was the teacher's pet try-hard, who would step on anybody to make herself look better. When it came out later that all of her straight A's were the product of extensive cheating, she got expelled. She ended up working at the McDonald's drive-thru until she dumped scalding fryer oil all over herself. Her death was ruled an accident, but we all knew better. Her life was shitty, after all. Still smelling like French fries? I counter, sneering. Ainsley bares her teeth and turned around. Thank God. Although that phrase hardly seems appropriate in this place.
Can we move a little faster?
Someone from way back calls.
We're going as fast as we can.
A voice answers from way in front of me. I have no watch or cell phone, and there are no windows on the jet bridge, so I have no idea how many uncomfortable hours pass as the line moves forward by centimeters. My hideous clothes are soaked in sweat, and I've been doing my damnedest to ignore David behind me and Ainsley in front of me, even though I can feel David's fingers ever so often brush against my ass. When I finally reached the entrance to the jet, I glanced down at my ticket. I'm in seat 45B. I didn't even know planes had that many rows. And of course, a middle seat. Of course. A flight attendant with the stocky legs of an elephant and the face of my former boss, Christy Stockman, smiles at me as I finally cross the threshold onto the jet.
Tammy,
She says, still sporting the imprint of my hand from where I slapped her after she fired me.
it's so good to see you.
Without warning, Christy rears back and smacks me across the cheek, sending buzzing shockwaves through my body. It hurts far worse than a slap should. And the next thing I know, I'm on the ground, whimpering.
Payback's a bitch, huh?
Christy says. In front of me, Ainsley guffaws. David hooks a hand under my armpit and hauls me to my feet, being sure to cop a feel in the process. When I'm steady again, I shove him away and move forward.
Just trying to help.
David whines, but I can hear the smirk in his voice. My left breast aches from his squeeze. I shuffle forward, keeping my eyes down on the vomit-colored carpet. I don't want to know who else from my past is on this plane with me, determined to fuck me over more than I already am. It's bad enough that I'm stuck with Ainsley and David. When I finally make it to row 45, David is still behind me, and Ainsley scoots into the window seat.
It's a Tammy sandwich.
David says, grabbing my hips and forcing me down next to Ainsley. He takes the aisle seat, grinning like a maniac. How is this your version of hell? I ask. Really? I mean, sitting next to me is like all you've ever wanted, right? David snickers.
Not exactly. I mean, if this weren't hell, you'd be, hotter.
I wedge myself deeper into my seat and curl into a ball. I'm guessing there will be no noise-canceling headphones for this flight. There's an ear-splitting shriek of microphone feedback, and then a growly voice comes on over the PA system.
Attention passengers, everybody please buckle your seatbelts. We will be taxiing to the runway shortly.
I look down at my lap, my hands gliding over the seat, which is filled with cracker crumbs and something sticky, searching for a seatbelt.
Oh.
David squeals with delight as my fingers finally find the belt, under his right butt cheek.
I should make you buy me dinner first.
Shut up, I say, yanking the belt from under him. The other half is, mercifully, under my own butt. I grab both halves and push them together, waiting for the metallic click. It doesn't come. Oh, come on, I snarl. I shove the halves together again, hoping that all I need is more force. Still, nothing.
Having trouble there, Tammy?
Ainsley says, giggling.
So how you forgot how a seatbelt works?
Fuck off, I hiss. The belt still isn't working.
Want my help?
David asks, his hands creeping toward my lap. Not a chance in hell, I say. David laughs, even though I wasn't trying to be funny. Eventually, I give up. The belt is broken. And just as this realization hits me, we're pushing back from the jet bridge, and I'm thrown forward, my nose slamming into the seat in front of me with a sickening crunch. Oh! I yell, my voice high and nasally.
Ma'am,
The elephantine Christy Stockman stewardess calls.
stay in your seat.
The seat belt is fucking broken, I yell back, blood from my nose dripping onto my tongue.
Payback's a bitch.
Christy repeats, grinning.
I've got you. Don't worry.
David says, wrapping a sweaty hand around my bicep. I rip my arm away and scoot closer to Ainsley, who bumps me hard with her hefty shoulder. Seriously, the girl could have been a linebacker.
Back off, Toker.
She says. I sink into myself in the middle seat, trying not to touch David or Ainsley. I'd never thought about hell much before. But even if I had, this is never what I would have imagined. It's far worse. The plane continues lurching toward the runway before stopping so abruptly I faceplant into the seat in front of me again, setting my nose to bleeding once more. Shit, I say, wiping my nose on my hideous sweatshirt. If anything, the blood makes the outfit less awful.
Ladies and gentlemen,
that growly voice says again over the PA.
we are experiencing an unexpected delay. Please make yourself comfortable and that we have clear for takeoff.
Someone a few rows ahead of me yells.
Hey, can we get some water?
Someone else calls.
Or snacks?
The growly voice comes on again.
There will be no food or beverage service on this flight. Our sincerest apologies.
You know, if you get desperate enough, you can always drink your own urine.
David says, nudging me with his elbow. That's disgusting, I say, my lip curling.
If it comes to that, I get to watch.
He says. And then I do throw up. Right onto the floor, down my legs, and all over my shoes. I do not think this can get worse. Things can definitely get worse. It has been hours, days. I have no sense of time, but I know a lot of time has passed. The smell of my vomit has settled a bit, but the plane's bathroom, which we're not allowed to use when the fasten seatbelt sign is on, which it is starting to act up, filling the cabin with the smell of raw sewage. If I think about it too much, I'll throw up again. I'm sure of it. My butt aches from sitting in this uncomfortable, too small seat, and my tongue is so dry and sandpapery I could probably refinish furniture with it. Next to me, David has been making nasty comments and telling horrible little jokes nonstop. On my other side, Ainsley has somehow managed to fall asleep, her beefy arm creeping further and further over the armrest until her elbow is firmly lodged in my ribs. I have no book, no phone, no in-flight movie, nothing to distract me from this interminable waiting except for David, who looks more ghoulish with each passing hour. At some point, the urge to pee overwhelms me, and there's nothing to do but wet myself. The moisture makes my sweatpants even itchier. Now I'm terrified I'm going to get a urinary tract infection from sitting like this for so long. I don't even know if the dead can get UTIs, but maybe? That would certainly make me suffer. And isn't that the entire point of hell? I think this is worse than anything they can do to us wherever we're going, I say, mostly to myself, but David answers anyway.
Oh, buck up, Tammy girl. At least you're not alone.
That's not a good thing, I mumble, and David laughs.
Oh, I heard that the seventh circle, they drown you in boiling blood.
David says, as though this is a polite topic of conversation.
Then again, I suppose we're way past that.
When I don't respond, David adds,
There are also gangs of harpies who torture you. I hope I get that one. Sounds kinky.
Please shut up, I say.
Then there's the burning desert with the rain made of fire, if you've been a really naughty girl.
David says.
Have you been really naughty, Tammy?
I look over at Ainsley, hating her more than I ever thought possible. How can she sleep through this? Why can't I? When I turn back toward the aisle, hoping to catch someone else's eye, anyone else's. David says,
Don't mind me.
I look down. I really wish I didn't. David has unzipped his pants and is actively urinating into the seat back pocket in front of him.
Enjoying the show?
He asks. Dear God, I say, squeezing my eyes shut. There's no way I was evil enough for this. No way. When I open my eyes again, David has mercifully tucked himself away. But elephantine Christy Stockman is there in the aisle, glaring down at me.
Tell that to my face, Tammy.
She says,
After you slapped me, my boss fired me for lack of leadership skills. You know what happened after that? I couldn't pay my mortgage. I lost my house. I ended up on the streets where a mugger stole my last $10 and stabbed me in the stomach in the process. Do you know how long it takes to die of a stab wound to the stomach? A long fucking time. And that was all because of you, Tammy. So yes, you are evil enough for this. And then some.
As Christy walks away, David says,
I think it'll be the burning desert and fiery rain for you after all. You've clearly been a very naughty girl.
Sometime later, there is a ripple of conversation that flows down the rows of seats, all the way to us in the back.
They're letting people off the plane.
Someone in front of me says. I can't see his face, and now I don't want to, because he sounds way too much like a guy I dated for 2 months after high school before ghosting because he talked about his super hot cousin one too many times.
What?
David asks, perking up.
What do you mean?
Apparently you can get off if you want.
The guy says. David turns to me.
Mind if I get off, Tammy?
Oh my God, please do, I say before catching the devious glint in his eye and the way his hand moves towards his crotch. Stop, I say.
Whatever you want, Tammy.
David says, smiling that lascivious little grin I've always hated.
I'll put it off. For now.
Ainsley finally wakes up, having heard the commotion.
What's going on?
The guy in front of us pipes up again.
You can get off the plane.
He says.
But where will we go if we do?
Ainsley asks. The guy is quiet for a moment.
I don't know, but I'm sure it's bad.
Ainsley slumps back in her seat. Whatever, she says. There's the sound of an airlock depressurizing, and then the growly voice is back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the aircraft door is now open for those who would like to debark.
I look wildly around me, wishing someone else would take the bait so I could see what happens. I don't have to wait too long. A woman 3 rows ahead of me stands up and runs towards the open door. When she makes it to the exit, the last thing we hear is a panicked wail, so high-pitched it makes my teeth hurt. Then, nothing.
Anybody else?
The voice asks.
I'm staying put.
David says, patting my hand. I've never wanted to take a shower so badly in my entire life.
Wherever Tammy goes, I go. It's like Milton wrote, huh? Make your hell into your heaven.
I rip my hand away and wipe it against my sweatshirt. My nose throbs, and I can feel the stinging prickles in my urethra that always herald a UTI. Suddenly, Ainsley's meaty palm is on my knee, pushing down.
Move, bitch!
She says, shoving my legs away.
I'm out of here.
Ainsley half walks, half falls over me and David until she's in the aisle. There's a large brown stain on the back of her pants. She hustles to the open doorway, nearly colliding with another passenger. She reaches the door first, and then comes that same sort of devastating, excruciating scream.
Sounds kind of fun, though.
David says. With Ainsley gone, I could scoot away from him, but her excrement has ground itself into the fibers of the seat. I can't do it. I just can't. I wonder if the opening of the exit door means this plane is even further away from leaving. Will we ever take off at all? And do I want us to? I still don't know where we're headed. I don't know if where I am is worse than where I might be going. or if it's worse than what waits for me outside if I take the bargain and get off. I don't know anything, and that tortures me more than the growing pain in my abdomen or the pulse of my broken nose. We continue to sit on the tarmac. Slowly, more and more passengers depart, their parting words traded for that same timbre of ear-splitting shriek as they leave the relative safety of the cabin. David urinates several more times, and with each evacuation, his stream edges closer and closer to my leg. I don't understand how he's that hydrated.
I can't do this anymore,
The man in front of us says. He stands up, confirming what I already know. This is the same guy I dated all those years ago. Without giving me a second glance, he races down the aisle and throws himself out of the plane. He screams just like all the others. And then David and I are the only passengers left on the plane.
Alone at last.
He says, his hand caressing my thigh.
Now the real fun begins.
I've reached my limit. Mr. Riddle can poke me with a pitchfork. Christy Stockman can slap me across the face. I can be deprived of food, water, and bathroom privileges. I can suffer through a broken nose and a UTI. I can be teased by Ainsley King. I can be bored out of my fucking mind, but I will not be violated by David Beekman. I simply cannot. I'm glad my seatbelt is broken. I hop up so quickly, David doesn't realize what's happening until I'm 20 feet down the aisle, heading for the door. I can hear him fumbling with his buckle and stumbling out of his seat, racing after me.
Tammy,
He calls.
come back. The fun is just getting started.
In front of me, elephantine Christy Stockman steps from between two rows of seats, her eyes a pair of burning coals. The growly voice bursts through the PA.
Ladies and gentlemen, the exit door will now be closing.
The seatbelt sign is on.
Chrissy yells, her rancid breath hitting me like a punch to the face.
Please take your seats.
I'm 10 feet away from the door now. There's a tremendous creaking as it starts to close on its own, the hinges screaming. Christy is thundering down the aisle toward me, toward the door.
I'm shutting the door, Tammy.
She says. I'm 5 feet away now. I can see the orange sky through the doorway. Thunder rumbles somewhere far away.
You're not going to make it.
Christy says, smirking. Fingers close around the seat of my baggy sweatpants, yanking me back hard. The pain in my abdomen is so intense I feel like I might faint. I can't, though. I can't. I have to get out.
You're not leaving here alone.
David says, his arms encircling me like a pair of venomous snakes.
Stay a while.
The door is halfway closed now. I summon all of my strength, all of the courage I never even knew I had, and I ram my elbow back into David's overexcited groin. With a pained, he released me, and then I'm scrambling, and then I'm leaping. I hear the scream as I sail through the air, the door closing just as my baggy sweatpants clear the frame. It's not my scream. I don't know who it belongs to, but I don't care. I'm free. David is trapped there, and I'm out here. And now I don't have to wait anymore, and no one can bother me. I land hard, knocking my head against what feels like broken gravel. The last thing I see before my vision goes dark is the rust-colored sky, shot through with bolts of red lightning.
Passengers seated in Zone 7 are now invited to board.
The familiar grating voice booms through the speakers. I'm back at the gate. I'm still wearing the hideous sweatsuit, but it's clean, or at least what passes for clean here, again. I whip around in time to see Mr. Riddle ram his pitchfork in my kidneys.
Get moving, Lawson.
He yells. So I move. There's nothing else to do. I don't know how many times I've boarded that plane, how many times I've fermented in my own stink between David and Ainsley, how many times I finally leapt out of that open boarding door, only to find myself back at the beginning, with nowhere else to go. Sometimes things are different. Sometimes they give us peanuts, but they're so salty they only make our lips burn and our mouths parch even more. Sometimes the plane is freezing, and sometimes it's so hot I swear cookie dough could bake on the seat armrests. Sometimes Elephantine Christy Stockman slaps me across the face. Other times she yanks my arm so hard that my shoulder dislocates. I pop it back in myself, not wanting to pay the price David would undoubtedly charge for his help. Sometimes I'm the first passenger to take the bargain and leap out of the exit door. Sometimes I'm the very last, David having gone long before me. It never matters. Not really. Because no matter what, I eventually always make the jump, and I always end up back at the gate, back on this plane. I would try to kill myself if I thought it would do any good, but I know it wouldn't. I would only end up back at the gate, Mr. Riddle's pitchfork poking into my skin. Surely this can't go on forever. Can it?